That Tauhenare, declaration of war, basically, after this vote, was pretty strong. He basically says, you've got a target on your back in terms of trying to achieve anything as a councillor. I will oppose you. Māori will oppose you.
It was also quite helpful because the vast bulk of Aucklanders that I talked to did not know that the council has an independent Māori statutory board and that they get votes and they can vote on every committee and they vote things down. I'm chairman of Expenditure Control Committee and I've lost votes because the two IMSB people who are not elected by the public can actually have the same vote as a councillor, and at least Toe's brought that into the public domain. And one of the reasons why I did not support the Māori wards is Māori already have representation on the council.
Totally undemocratic representation, Maurice.
Correct. So my first issue was you can't have both, in my view. You could have one or the other if that's what the public were wanting, but you can't have both. And so I argued very strongly at the table that whenever, I remember the 27th of October 1990, now most people weren't around for them, but I remember it well because I campaigned very strongly for the 4-year term. I went to meetings, town hall meetings, cold halls and so on. I wanted us to vote on that referendum and we lost it. That was the public's choice and I went with it. 3 years later, I actively campaigned to keep first past the post. I did not want to go to MMP. And we lost it. The public voted. Now, surely anything that's constitutionally going to change the entire future and structure of an organisation like the Auckland Council, which is 1/3 of the whole of New Zealand, why would you not be prepared for that to go to a referendum? And the argument is, no, we're not having a referendum. 11 people around the table here today could decide that. And I said, no way, I'm not voting for that. But Toe's response, I think, is outrageous because he didn't just say, I'm going to oppose any one of the councillors that voted for it. He said he's going to vote no to everything on the committees that he sits on, regardless of it. And that is an outrage because you should be going to every issue with an open mind and voting on it based on whether it's beneficial or not.
But so if you are on a committee, or if you've got to vote on a committee purely because of race, what has reason got to do with it, Maurice?
Well, I agree with that. I think it's time that we literally did not have an IMSB and that we actually allowed the public to decide if they think Māori seats are the way to go. I know plenty of Māori who could easily, if they wanted to, stand for council and win. Some of them choose not to. Some of them are. We've got Māori on council because
we've got 25, for example, in the wider context, we've got, I think, 25 Māori MPs in Parliament. That's more than their proportion of the population.
And I think that's wonderful and all power to them. And if Toe wants to do something like this, why doesn't he stand? Why does he not stand for council and get elected and say, I got elected on a particular platform and I'm going to stand strong on it? But he is unelected and then look, I think he'll have to walk it back. I don't think the IMSB, the Independent Māori Statutory Board, can tolerate having one of their members saying, I'm voting no on everything that's put to the committees I'm on, regardless of its merits. I think he'll have to walk that back very quickly because it's simply, I don't believe you could stay in that role if you're going to have that dog in the manger attitude.
Right. Look, on a wider context, Maurice, as the coalition negotiations kick on, Christopher, this is an issue. This is about co-governance, isn't it? This particular issue we're talking about today. This is about the mood of co-governance or non-elected people because of their ethnicity having special rights of representation, right?
Yeah, yes, it is. And we did, as a council, go out to a public consultation round. It was very, very clear evidence. And I'll tell you what was interesting. It wasn't just the general public input that said no. But a lot of the consultation with various Māori groups and organisations was evenly divided of yes or no. So it was nowhere near as supported across the whole of the coalition discussions with people.
Yeah. All right, let's apply that issue then nationally. And we have a new Prime Minister who basically doesn't want to get involved in this issue. He says it's not really an issue to him, they'll get rid of three waters, and he doesn't agree with co-governance, but he's not going to make the principles of the Treaty of Waitangi or the referendum, it seems, are not things that Luxon is keen on. And he also believes, from the comments I've seen, that the election, Labor didn't lose because of this, that this wasn't a massive election issue. It was all about National's wonderful policies and the economy.
Yeah, look, I know what it's like to be in this interregnum, and I can tell you that the one thing you've got to stick to is we went into the election with the following: we're going to hopefully negotiate to get as much of that as we can. But there is, in this particular case, it's not something I've been involved in, three parties that are going to have a say. And I think Christopher Luxon's doing the right thing. He's got to be very careful of trying to stick anything as a peg in the ground, because you'll have to trade off stuff. You'll have to give New Zealand First some of what they wanted in order for them to be part of it. You'll have to give Acts whatever they want in terms of being part of it. And so the one answer, if I was involved now, I'd just say is, this is what we went into the election campaigning on, and we're hopeful of getting most of the stuff agreed to in the coalition talks, but I can't say for definite.